All right, we are going live. Welcome everybody to a really interesting and a really fun live session on Microsoft Power Automate Desktop and ChatGPT. With ChatGPT, the doors are open for any kind of automation. We can pretty much build anything that comes to our mind. And let me explain that a little bit. So previously with just RPA, we could build and automate only manual and repetitive tasks. If there were too many exceptions or if we have to use our cognitive reasoning, we were blocked. But right now with ChatGPT, we can automate so many more processes that require some kind of cognitive interaction. So for example, if we wanted to comment on all different YouTube videos or posts or etc., we could do that by getting the context and then generating a unique answer for whatever we are doing. So that's exactly what we are going to do. I started playing around with ChatGPT not too long ago. With ChatGPT quite some time ago, but with ChatGPT on Power Automate Desktop. So today we are going to be building a fun process. I think we're going to either build something on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Hey, what's up? If anybody has requests, please let me know. We can focus the process that we're going to be building on whatever you want to build. So I'll try to fine tune it. We'll see if it's going to be possible. But let me show you what we are going to be building. So Power Automate Desktop allows for us to call the ChatGPT API. Now the API has depreciated from the previous Text DaVinci model and so forth. So now we're going to be using the 3.5 Turbo and the Model 4 from GPT. Facebook's groups. All right, I'll try to do the Facebook groups and incorporate it in this. So maybe we generate like a dynamic post in the Facebook groups. Let's see, and then I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, awesome. All right, let me show you what we are going to be doing basically. So we're going to be trying to get some kind of input from the user or from a post or as a post. We're going to be sending it to ChatGPT, and then we are going to be receiving a answer. So in this basic example, I'm not going to show it right now because it's using my API, but I'll show the whole process of building it in just a second. We just made a call to, let me see if it's in one of these headers. So we made a call to a GPT 3.5 and we said hi, and this is what the assistant responded with. Hello, how I can assist you today? Now we can fine-tune the input that goes into this, and we can do whatever we want with the output. What do I mean? We can fine-tune what goes into here, so we can scrape names, we can scrape details, we can read an Excel file and put it inside of the request or the prompt that we're going to be making, and then we can take this prompt and then we can paste it inside the message box, text field, an email, or a database directly, or whatever we kind of want to do. All right, so let's build this first part. Let me show you how to make the connection to GPT so that you have this very important knowledge. And after that, I'm going to integrate it in either LinkedIn or Facebook groups. I'll try with Facebook groups. If I have issues with my account, we'll go with LinkedIn. All right. So to start, the first thing that we need to do is create a ChatGPT API. So if you don't have an account, I suggest that you make one. Why? Because it is going to improve your automations a lot. Plus with these APIs from ChatGPT, you can do quite a lot of different things. So we're going to create a new API key and we're going to call it Power Automate. Once you create your API keys and once you add your billing information, so don't use my API key. I hope I copy that. Hopefully I have, but anyways, you can't see your API keys once you have created them. So So yeah, just don't create them and then forget about them. You can delete them easily, but eventually you're going to get a pop-up that's going to ask you for a lot of verification before generating other API keys. All right, so the next step, that once you have your API keys, we can go back into Power Automate Desktop and we don't have to exit the platform anymore. So let's create a new process and we're gonna call this Facebook Groups AI. By the way, an announcement on LinkedIn, I will be making a Beyond the Basics LinkedIn, a course on LinkedIn about some really cool new features in Power Automate Desktop. So if you are a LinkedIn Learning member, I suggest that you check it out because I think it's great. I show some pretty interesting things. I already have a basic course, but I think that anybody watching this, it's already beyond the basics, so the advanced might be more interesting. All right, so let's start. Let's start by adding a request. So let's add a request. So the first thing that we should search for is invoke a web service under the HTTP actions. So we're going to invoke a web service and we're going to be making a post request. Now, for all of this configuration, how you can find out, there is really no guide that I found. I figured it out by going to the OpenAI page and going to the documentation, and in the text generation you can look at the syntax, then you can get the code that we're gonna, I'll walk you through the whole process. Let's go back to this. So this is also not going to be an XML file, it's going to be a JSON file, and this is also going to be a JSON file as a response. So we're going to be making a request to the completion API. Now let me get that API endpoint. So the API endpoint is right this. Oh, hey, Parvesh, I'll share in the chat, by the way, the API endpoint. If anybody wants to follow along, I will actually share you the API key. So if anybody wants to test it out right now, they can. If you need it, let me know in the chat. We'll use it during this live session and then we will disable it. The content headers. So the content headers, this is going to be how we are going to be authenticating with the API that we're connecting to. So the GPT on OpenAI. We're going to be using the bearer token. So we just need our API key, but I have made a mistake and lost my API key. Remember what I told you, not to lose the API key. We're going to generate a new one. So we're going to delete this one. And generate a new one. So if anybody again wants to follow along, let me know. I'll share the API key. We can see the usage in live time. So if anybody is abusing it, I will just cut it. But I'm just joking. So here it is. Let's click on done. And now we can go back to here and we can paste our API key. Now we have to prepare a request body. So this is going to be the syntax of the of our request. So this is the syntax right here. I will paste this in the chat as well. And right here we can see this is our message that we're going to be asking the assistant. So right here, this can be dynamic. We're going to be making this dynamic, and also we are going to be working on the prompt that we're going to be making. So it's not just going to be this dynamic, but there's going to be a prompt and a variable that we're going to be inputting that can be anything that we scrape from the text or user input. Also right here, the role, this is how we're going to put our assistant into context. So if we are building a automation that's going to be replying to emails, we're going to be telling it you are going to act as a copywriter, professional copywriter with 20 years of experience, specialized, using this kind of tone or language, and so on. So we have to make sure that we do that. But for right now, let's just test this to see if it works, and let's ask it like, what is the capital of France? All right, so this should do it. We should also not encode the request body, and I think this should work. So let's see some accept and no. All right, so let's just run this and see if we're getting a error or if the request went through successfully. So we're getting an error. What kind of error? We could not parse the JSON body. Let's see what is wrong with our file. Right here we have an extra comma, so we're going to remove that extra comma and try this again. So this time I think it should work. Still, we could not parse the JSON body. So we are going to post application with JSON bear token, and this is the content. So I've pasted it wrongly, I believe. Yes, this is the correct, this is the full version. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that everybody can see. So it's a message system, so this is where we're going to be defining how our assistant is going to be behaving, and this is where our prompt or our request is going to be. So what is the capital of France? So fine-tuning this part right here took a little bit of time, so we can also here fine-tune the tokens, the temperature, and so on. Let me show you what I mean by this just for a second. If we go right here and we go to the playground, so I'm in the OpenAI platform again, and in the playground we can try interacting with our GPTs like we would from Power Automate Desktop in this case. So in this case we are using the completion, which is legacy. We're using the chat actually. So this is the model that we are using, and these are the different parameters that we can also see right here that I've added. Max tokens, temperature, I can't remember what this is, and yeah, I've just added them since they were there for configuration. But this is just different kind of fine-tuning options for the model that we can learn more about right here in the details and in the documentation. So, all right, let's save this and let's try it out again and see if this time it is going to work. All right, it's taking longer than expected, so probably it did work. So we get a status code 200, and this is the response that we got. So the capital of France is Paris. All right, so our assistant is working, but also like this is a text value, so this is very kind of a dirty way of seeing this. Let's just clean it up a little bit. So we could do it with a different way, but I think the quicker the better. So we're just going to parse this information. So we are going to parse the text that we outputted, meaning that right here we had some text that was retrieved that looks like a JSON, but it's actually just text. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this text that is right here, web service response, and we're going to write this this text to find content and everything that is between the quotes. We're going to use this regular expression. And how did I find this regular expression? I just asked ChatGPT to create me a regular expression that is going to parse through that JSON. Pretty straightforward, but let's just see if this is going to work. Let's run it and see what happens. If there are any questions on what is going on, what we're doing, if you would like to see anything again, please let me know. Yeah, all questions are welcome and open to all questions. And by the way, thank you so much for watching and for supporting my content and for asking me the questions and liking the videos and sharing me information on LinkedIn. I really want to develop and build all of the great ideas and automations that you guys come up with. So, all right, so let's see the content. So here it is. The capital of France is Paris. All right, cool, awesome. So now that we have this working, obviously we can play this with this, we can improve it, we can make it better, we can add like an input, but let's try to connect it to Facebook groups. So let me see if I have my Facebook account that is logged in. I don't think I have, so I think I might have to create a separate dedicated video for this. Let's just see if I'm logged in automatically. All right, so I think we could. I'm not a big Facebook user, so I'm a little bit I don't really know what is going on. So maybe it would be better that I get prepared and I get ready for the Facebook group posting. It also looks like the interface from Facebook has changed a bit, and obviously this is not my account. This is a account used for all kinds of things. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the support and for the like. So let's do something that I'm more familiar with. Let's go to LinkedIn and let's create dynamic messages for people. So what I actually needed to build is a dynamic way to send messages to people and connect with people. So let's say I want to connect with like CTOs, and yeah, let's search for CTO. And I would like to scrape their profile and based on their profile create a custom message, have GPT create this message for me, and then post and send them this message. Should be relatively straightforward. Previously it was, now with ChatGPT should be even better. I think all of the information that we need to create a custom message could be found here. If we wanted to make it better, we could also go into the profile and then go back and kind of scrape this information about the person. Let's keep it simple. Let's just scrape everything that we find right here and then pass that information to ChatGPT and ask it to create a custom to click on connect, add a note, and add them our custom message is going to be below 300. Now the challenge here is that we are going to be building this, I think, hopefully in less than 30 minutes. Yeah, maybe even less. All right, so let's start with from here, exactly from here. So I already know how LinkedIn works since I've automated quite a few different things here. So we're just going to start from here. We're going to skip all of the steps of navigating. Why? Because we're going to not be doing that in our automation. So let's create a new flow, and we're going to call this flow LinkedIn messages on AI or on steroids. Blank canvas, and what we are going to be doing in our process is we're going to be extracting all of this information, so the name and the position. Let's just start with the name and the position, then clicking on connect, having the information analyzed by ChatGPT create a custom message and adding it to the message, and then posting the sending the invite. All right, so we have an empty canvas. We're starting from scratch. Let's start with the recorder, even though I don't really like using the recorder that much. But to keep it simple, let's just use the recorder for a basic skeleton. So we're going to extract the name of the person. And we could also get, if they are our contacts, we could get their email as well and send them a custom or whatever. A lot of information. For now, let's just keep things simple. So right now, what I'm doing is I want to create a dynamic table out of all of this by selecting one element in this list and another element in the list. LinkedIn is going to identify all of these guys and extract all of and girls and extract all of the information that I have selected. So that's the first part of our process. The second part is to click on this button right here. So we're going to do that. And then on this button right here. And this is beautiful. This is a text area. So we can left click in here and then we can populate text field and we can just write test. And then we can add the text and we can click on this button right here because we're just testing right now. So let's make this a little bit more challenging. Let's see if we can finish this in actually 15 minutes and less. So let's fix a couple of things that I know already are going to be wrong, such as these buttons right here. So you see LinkedIn is using dynamic ID selectors, but with a little bit of research, or not really a little bit of research, but just by trial and error, you can figure out that for LinkedIn, for example, this class never changes. Now, if we test this on our LinkedIn page that we don't have right here, doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure it works. Let's simplify a little bit my screen so that we don't have all of these information. And let's try to test this again. So let's test this again. Still the same LinkedIn feed, playground, Facebook, live stream, city. I think it's right here. Yeah, it's working. It's having a few issues, so probably we should select also, let's select also this class, which is in this attribute. So let's test it again. Let's test it with the ordinal. Okay, perfect. So that's what I was missing. So since the ID of this button is referring only to one button and the class is referring to all of the different buttons on the page, it was trying to select all of the different buttons. But when we select the ordinal, that changes. Now I also, if I select number 5, it should point to the button number 5 over here. Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's great. We fixed the first button. That was kind of the hard part. So what is this? This is to add a note. So this is same kind of issue. In this case, we're going to add it in the same way as we did previously. The text area seems like an ID that is going to find pretty easily. So we're going to leave that. And the dismiss button. So again, same concept. I'm going to remove something that looks ambiguous that can be generated and is generated every time, like in this case, the ID 713, and add a class that is always going to be the same. So that's pretty much it. That is for our process. So a couple of more considerations. So we are going to launch a new instance, go to that URL, maximize our screen, and that should do it. So we're going to the page, we're extracting the information, we're putting it inside of this variable. Okay, fine. And then we are clicking on all of the different buttons. But let's just try to see what happens when we run our automation. And if anybody is keeping the time, I would like to know how much time is left. All right, so our process seems to be working pretty well so far. So already in this few minutes we've built a automation that if we put this in a loop and we created a automation that's going to send dynamically messages to LinkedIn for eternity until we reached the limit, or until we are blocked if we don't make it look like a human. But let's make this, let's see the information that was extracted from the data. So we extracted all of this information. So this is the name and the name and the role of the person. So we need this two kinds of information, and then we're clicking on the button. All right, so that's a for each loop. So we're going to create a loop. We're going to create a for each loop that is going to cycle through all of that information and click on the buttons and send the messages. So let's add the for each loop that is going to, right below this, loop through the output data. So output data, so doing it a little bit different than what I'm used to, so we're figuring it out the way that we go. By the way, automation, you can build these processes in any way that you feel that is the easiest and that makes you save time. The objective is to use as little steps as possible so that it's easier to debug and to build. So like this, we're going to repeat all of these steps, but we need to also make a API request call. So let's make an API request call. Let me copy this from the previous process and paste it in here. So we're going to be invoking our web service right before we add a node in here, and then we need to clean our text, and then we need to put this text inside of the populate text field on the web page. All right, just to run it through it again. So we are we're extracting, press the button, invite, connect, add node. All right, so we extracted all of the information. After that, we extracted all of the information, we are going to loop through all of the information that we extracted. So we get the current item. All right, so we need to extract the name and the position of these people. Should I put it in a variable? No, let's just add it in here. So let's add it in a variable for debugging purposes. We're going to display a message, and this we're going to call output from data scraped. Message to display, we're going to get the current item. We're going to get the current item and the value that we're going to display. So let's see the data that is value 1 and value 2. So we're going to display value 1 and value 2. So let's try this again. Value 1, and there was a okay, so this should display the first name. Let's test our process again, and let's pause it here by adding a breakpoint and see, well, it's going to be paused anyways once we see the display. But so it has open LinkedIn right here. It is going to extract all of these people, and then we're just going to extract the first or the other people. We're just going to loop through the different pages that that we have here. Very simple process. For now, let's just figure out the first part. So value 1 not found. Let's see this again. So value and then space. Okay, all right. So we spelled it wrongly. We wrote it a little bit wrong. Let's fix it. Now I think there was a space between these two items. We're going to find out. Let's run our process one more time. We could also integrate, obviously we could integrate Excel into this to make it a little bit more solid. But right now let's just keep things simple. Extracting data, all right, so this is the pop-up that we got. So Luca Bertozzi, that's the name of the person. And then now let's stop our process. So now let's get two variables and let's collect, we don't need the variables actually. We're just going to get this and we're going to write the prompt that is going to generate a custom message for our LinkedIn bot system that we're building. All right, so we're going to do just a little bit of prompt engineering. So right here in the system, we're going to tell it that you are a sales, you are a, well, not a sales, you are a networking expert with the objective of growing a LinkedIn network organically with good intentions focused on sharing information. So not the best prompt, but we're doing things on the fly. And right here, we're going to ask it what we need it to do. So you are going to generate a LinkedIn message that is 100 characters, or how about, yeah, 200 characters. 200 characters for, and then we're going to add our variable in here. So let's see, for this, and let's just try it like this and see if this works so far. So whatever, doesn't matter, we can make this much better, but for now let's just see if things are working. So let's save this, and now that it is saved, we need to get this answer and we need to pause our response before populating the text. So doesn't matter, we're not populating the text yet. Well, we could actually already try to populate the text, and since we're here, do everything already at once and just test the process. So the value that is being outputted is stored in match, or the text value. So the parse text that we're using on the response of the web service API that we are parsing with this script, like right here. I'm going to paste it into the chat if anybody wants to follow along. It's going to give us the response that we're going to put in this text, and then we're just going to close the box. Now this should in theory work already with some minor fine-tunes and fine-tuning changes. So let's see what happens. No, all right, mistake. We were too quick to say victory. So we had still this pop-up, but all right, this is working. Now we are making the call to the API endpoint, and let's see what kind of response we got. That we did get some kind of response, but unfortunately or fortunately, it's maybe still in here. So here is the response that we got. Let's stop this. Doesn't look that bad. It's right here. Why cannot we open it? Let me close all of the other automations that we have open. Pretty exciting stuff, actually. This is the first time I've used a GPT to answer or to create messages in a automatic way. It was always more about scraping and stuff like that, but now you can actually compose it and make it however you want. So let's actually add a breakpoint right here, and let's try this one more time. So let's close all of these. Let's close all of these. And obviously another way that you could run this, you could create first a scraper that is going to scrape all of the different LinkedIn profiles. So for example, like right here, we could first build a scraper that's going to get the link to their profile from all of the different pages. After that, after we have the link from the different pages, we could message them directly from their page by sending the connect, or doing basically the same thing that we do from here. On their profile page, we could get much more information. Did we forget to click on this again? We could get much more information and therefore make the message more fine-tuned and better. So let's see what it's going to write right now. All right, so now it's going to pose, look, I came across your profile and I was impressed by your expertise networks. I would love to connect and learn from your insight. I mean, yes, not really the best message, but it is a ChatGPT generated message, meaning that now we are going to add a few more parameters and actually make this a lot more better. Now, should I just go on their profile and maybe get this about section from each one of these profiles? I think that would be a great way, but not everybody has a description, so that's not going to be really a great way. What could be another great way is, well, to build a little bit more of a complex automation and check out the activity that this person has. But for right now, let's incorporate, for example, the position inside of this and see if the message is a little bit better. Maybe by improving the prompt a little bit, we can make it also produce a better response. Also, by sending different messages, LinkedIn is not going to flag us as a robot, but as actually a human being. Also, if we add a couple of weights, it's going to slow down our process, make it look more real. Now, as promised, we managed to build it in less than 15 minutes, just as agreed and promised initially. So awesome. All right, now let's just work on this a little bit to make it just a little bit better. Now, the first thing that I want to do is make this message better. So let's go right here in the invoke web service, and we could, instead of using GPT 3.5, we could use a newer model. So let's maybe use GPT 4. So let's go text generation and see all of different models that we can use. So models right here. Let's try one of these previous models and see if our script is still going to work if we change the existing model. So right here, we're going to change this model from 3.5 to GPT-4 with the context window of 32,000 tokens. So let's save this and let's run this process again and see if the response is a little bit better. So we are getting our pop-up as usual. So we're gonna click on the pop-up, continue, add a note. That did not work. Let's stop this before we go any further. Hop. So we got an error right here. So we need to fine-tune the response we need to fine tune this based on the model that we are using. So right now I'm going to revert back to GPT 3.5 Turbo, and if we go into our error message that we can't see anymore since we're out of the process, we could debug it and understand how to structure the right response. But this is not really my intention right now. My intention right now is to create just a little bit of a better message so that we can use this automation already. So I have this, which is the person's name, characters 4, and the position is act professional, well, let's just keep it like this. So you're going to generate a LinkedIn message that is 200 characters for this person, and their position is this. You're a networking expert with the objective of growing a LinkedIn network organically with good intentions focused on sharing information. Fine, let's try it out, and let's actually run it on a few examples and see if it is going to go through a few examples. However, before we do that, we need to make it click on a different button. So right now we're just clicking on the same button. We need to make this dynamic. So a very easy and quick way to do this, we're going to set up a variable. We're going to create a new variable, set a variable, and call it counter. Counter, we have 10 items per page, the 10 buttons per page, I believe, and each button is going to be, for example, button 1. What do I mean by button 1? We're going to go into our UI element, the button, and right here in the ordinal, we're going to change this. By enabling the text editor, we can edit the 0 here, and we can add the value of the variable that we just created that is called counter. So perfect. So right now we just increase our variable at the end of the loop. Our variable is called counter. We're going to increase it by 1, and that is going to make our button dynamic, and we're going to click on every time a new button and therefore loop through the whole list, keeping it in sync with the data that we have extracted previously inside of the data table. All right, so that's pretty cool. One last final thing, our response is still a little bit weird, meaning that it still has this content thing inside of it. So let's try to remove this content thing. So let's store it in a, or let's see what we can do with it. So all different text, crop text, so we can crop this text. All right, let's get this text. All right, and let's pass it our match, which is the response from the parsing that we did. And flag, I think it is a apostrophe. I'm not 100% sure, but there's only one way to find out. Well, there's many different ways to find out. We're just going to see what we get. Now, this output right here, we're going to put in here. Now, I'm going to put a breakpoint right here so that we don't lose this information. I could put also a message, but it's just slowing down our process. Let's run our automation, our amazing, beautiful automation that we built in just a few minutes, actually, the basic version. Now we can improve this for hours, making it really solid and making it work really well on all kinds of different use cases and examples. But for right now, we are not. We're just going to see that it works basically, and that we can use it on the fly by adding. So we have a issue right here about adding a node. So let's see what was the issue that we got. It did not find the button, probably because the button value, we should set the value to 1 initially. Let's try it again. So value of 1 instead of value of 10. So 0 to 9 if it has 10 items per page. Let's see it in action one more time. All right, come on, start. Go a little bit faster. Why is it clicking on the 5? I think I've messed up something. Okay, let's recheck our selectors on the fly. So I think I made a mistake. I think I made a mistake on the button add node. So this is, yes, exactly. So this is not the button that we needed to add a loop on. So as you can see here on the image, I did not pay attention. We needed to add a loop on this right here. So right here, we're going to go to the text editor and change this right here. Adding a counter variable, but we're just going to add it the better way, the lazy way. So like this, our process should work. Let's run it and let's see what happens. Always a little bit of issues, but after a few tries and after a little bit of fine-tuning, we can make it happen. By the way, if there is issues, oh, here we go, it starts from 0 actually, so the first one is working. Now let's see our GPT generated message. This is so amazing. We can use this in so many different processes. Hopefully it's going to come. Hi Luca, came across your profile and found your experience in Luca Bortezzi fascinating. Yeah, we got that wrong. I love to connect and learn from your experience. We can also make the message a little bit longer. Plus, we still got this content stuff right here. So let's fix all of these things right here. And let's see, first of all, the crop text that we got. So the crop text that we got, we just got content. So that means that is taking everything before that. So I want to take everything after this actually. So let's go right here. But let's inspect actually any of our variables to see if there's anything else that we should look at before we stop it. No. We can stop our process and do those little fine tunes and have our process live and yeah, live and ready. Get text before, get text after a specific flag. This is going to be the flag. So we're going to save this, and then right here we're going to put the crop text. So let's put the crop text. Was there anything else that was being an issue? We should add a little bit of weights just to make it seem a little bit more. Yeah, the issue was right here in the invoke web service. So I think we are using the value 1 and value 1 twice. We're going to make it value 2 because that is the second value that we're extracting for our web page. So let's run this. This time I am pretty sure that it is going to work. I'm pretty sure that I would bet I would put my hand on the fire to prove that it works. So let's see if I should actually put my hand into fire. First one seems like it's working. Let's see the text. This is the only part that I'm not 100% sure if it's going to work. The crop text after that, I've never used that action. And we're still waiting. Did we get an error? No, we did not. Yeah, we got an error. What is the error that we got? We could not parse the JSON body. JSON payload but was sent not a valid JSON. If you're having trouble on how to fix this, please contact us through the whatever. We'll fix this. We can fix this. So did it say it was expecting a JSON? The JSON body. All right, so that's pretty weird. I bet because the position the value tool. Let's see if there is something strange with value tool. Okay, all right. So there is this sign right here that is making it so that we should parse, or I think we should remove this before passing it. But I wouldn't anyways use this inside of my messages, so we're not going to bother with that. So we're just going to remove it from our automation and leave it like end their position. No, we're going to leave it like this. So we're just going to get the name of the person. That's a little bit kind of limiting, but whatever. Let's just save it, test our process, and see if it's going to go through the full cycle. Improving it, it's a piece of cake, kind of. It's just a little bit of debugging and figuring out. For now, let's just make the whole automation kind of work. So right now we are expecting a message from GPT. Keep in mind that each one of these messages is not even going to cost 1 cent. We're using a super, oh, this is perfect. Hi Luke, I came across your profile and found your experience in networking. Why networking? Fascinating. Let's just change the prompt a little bit. Let's tell it to write with a little bit of a different tone. And we also want them to take some kind of call to action. So, all right, let's do this. You are a networking expert that's good intentions, focused on sharing information. You talk in an upbeat and professional way, with humor. All right. You're going to generate a LinkedIn message that is that the main objective is to share. What should we share? To share Puljai AI. So let's share Puljai. To share Puljai. Let's not make it so direct. You're going to generate a LinkedIn message that is 200 characters for this person. That's it. Let's just run it and see what it does, and we can fine-tune it for our own purposes however we want. You're going to generate a LinkedIn message that is 200 characters for this person right here. Great. Let's save this, and our automation should be pretty much ready. Let's remove the breakpoint. Let's add some weights. So right after populating, we're going to add 3 seconds. Let's add 3 seconds. And after pressing the button, we are going to add 3 seconds. We're also waiting right here. So when we're invoking the web service, we're waiting. So that's great. And then we're waiting again after we insert the text. And then we wait again after we click on the button. And then we increase the variable, and then we click on a new button, and the whole loop repeats itself. Let's make one more improvement. Well, let's run it and see if this first part works. If this first part works, we've already done something pretty great and should be proud of ourselves. So yeah, let's see how it goes. So first message is working. I think the final button should be the button to close, so we're not going to be sending any of these messages. Okay, that was a little bit fast for my taste. So this is a new message to Kati. It's not synced with the loop. It's going with the person previously, and I know exactly why the issue. And let's debug that in a second. So just to make sure, this will be Katya right now. Hey Katya. Hey Katya, yes, exactly. Awesome. So let's stop this. So the way that we should fix this is that this variable should not be 1 but should be 0. Why? Because the buttons on LinkedIn, they start from button 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So with 0 to 9, so we have 9 buttons, and then we go to the next page. Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's test this out, but let's make one more improvement. So right here we have multiple pages, so like page 2, page 3. We don't want to just go through the people on page 1. We want to go through the people also on the other pages. So what we are going to do is we're going to hack this link a little bit. So we're gonna decode this URL. Is this going to work live in the browser? Looks like it worked. So right here, when we launch our web page, we're gonna create a couple of dynamic fields. So let's analyze this link. Right here we have our search term CTO, and right here we have our page. So what we are going to do is we're going to ask the user what kind of keyword or person that we are going to be looking for, like HR manager, CEO, CTO, CFO, and so forth. So we're going to use a input, I believe, display input dialog, and we're going to take the role of the person, So you're going to put the name of the name of the role to search for. Default value, whatever, we're gonna put CTO. Or how about AI developer? And click on save. Once we clicked on save, right here we're gonna change this CTO link that we have, that is dynamic. We're going to make it into the variable that we just created. So this created the variable called user input. We're going to add the user input right there. Click on save, and that should take care of making this dynamic for that. We also have multiple pages. So we also have like multiple pages for this. So we are going to add another loop that is going to loop through all of the different pages. So to do that, we are going to, once we finish this loop, once we finish this 10 times at the counter 10, or when this exits, we should refresh it and redo this loop more times. So let's just add another loop right here, and this is going to start at 1 and it's going to end at 5, increment by 1. And we are going to take this all the way down. So we have this right here that goes to the link, but in here we're going to have to navigate to the following page number. So let's add a navigate, or I think it's a go to. So let's add a go to right here. and let's add, no, not a go-to web page. Let's add a go-to web page right here and add the URL. The URL is this, but right here we're going to change this page to whatever the loop index is. The loop index is a variable that was created dynamically when we created our loop. So what is going to happen? We are in this loop, once this loop starts, we're going to navigate to this page with loop index 1. We're going to complete this 10 times for everything that we have scraped, and then we have to scrape it again. So we're going to move that in there. So all right, I think this should theoretically, without kind of testing it, I've done quite a few steps without testing them, so not 100% sure if everything is going to work, but we're going to run it either way and test it out. Now, this is the first pop-up that we get. We're just going to write, for example, developer, just to make it different. So this is opening, it's searching for developer. That's great. So we got a new fresh list of people. Now we are going to page 1. That's great. And now it is going to break because this is not a connect button, but it's like a follow button. So our automation, I believe that is going to break. So in case that this happens, let's fine-tune our process. So first of all, let's fine-tune this right here. And let's extract this again. All right, we got this list extracted again. We just needed the name, actually. We could have simplified, but yeah, all right, doesn't matter. And then I think it should be fine. So we go to this web page, we extract the information, we loop through the current item, and then once we loop through all of the information that we extracted, we go to the next loop item, changing the page. Let's try it again and see what happens. So again, we have this first part, developer, and all right, so yeah, we have this issue with the follow buttons. So we're gonna fix that. Well, right now we don't, so theoretically right now it should work. So we are having some issues right here. So let's see what is the issue right here that we're having. Okay, so it's having a hard time extracting these elements from the web page. No worries, because we're gonna solve this on the fly. So we're gonna go to browser automation, and well, first of all, we're gonna put this action right here, and we're gonna go to web data extraction, and we're gonna get details of element on web page. So let's get these details of this element on the web page. Let's add a new UI element. So what is that thing that we're going to be getting? This span right here. So let's get this right here, and we're going to get the text, which is going to be the name of the person. So let's click on save. Let's go in here and fine-tune this just a little bit. So as we can see right here, we don't need the ID again. We're going to try to fine-tune this selector as well. This defies the for each loop that we have created, because like this we don't need it anymore, and we could even make our automation much simpler, but doesn't matter. It is what it is. So let's test this. So we are able to find this UI element. This is browser automation. Great. So we extract this UI element, but then we have to add the same loop inside of this, or the same variable, the counter variable. So if we go right here and we go to our ordinal that we have added right here, we should change this and add a counter. So like this, I'm going a little bit fast, I apologize, but that is because I have a hot plate of pasta waiting for me, and because we're just debugging pretty much right now. I just want to make it work. So get details of the element on the web page, extract data from web page. So we get rid of the second one, we keep this one, we delete this loop that we have right here, and we add a new loop. Oh my, oh my. All right, so let's add a new loop. We're gonna make it start at 0 and end at 9. And we're gonna move all of these buttons inside of this other loop that we have created. We're gonna delete our for each loop. We're almost done, have a little bit of patience. So we're gonna press on this button right here. This button right here. The button is correct. And let's just see, let's just run this process and see where it's going to break. Parameter increment can't be empty. All right, let's fix that as well. Increment variable. Okay, all right. So in here we need to put what we extract from right here. So that goes into extract data from output data 2. So right here we change it to the name that we have extracted using the different method, output data 2, and let's save it and see what is going on right now. Increment by 1. All right, so extract data from web page, but we're gonna do this inside of the loop. We're gonna do this inside of the loop. We're gonna extract the name of the first person, increment by 1, extract the name of the second person, and so on. So let's see if this change on the fly worked. I could have probably made it worked in the other way as well, meaning with the for loop as well, but this seemed just faster to do. So let's try it out. So we're launching a, we're going to the developer page. We are going to, again, navigate again to page 1. And our process is going to break because it has this following follow, and that is not going to trigger the other steps. So in case this happens, let's actually just fix this as well, this occurrence as well. So if this button is going to have an issue, we are going to make it go to a label. So we're going to add a label all the way here until we increment our variable, and we're going to call it skip. So this button that is going to fail if the connect button doesn't work. On advanced, we're going to continue the flow run, and we're going to make it go to the label skip. So let's save this and let's run our process, and let's see those messages getting sent finally. All right, so let's call this developer, or let's call it CTO. Let's change a little bit. Let's see all of the CTOs that we can spam on this glorious day. So that's perfect because the first one was a follow. So all right, not anymore, but we'll actually do it with the developers again so that we can see if the functionality is working or it's not working. So we are having another issue, I believe. This is the issue, failed to extract data from the web page. Let's analyze it and see what is the issue that we're getting. I think it's a selector issue that we're getting. So this is using, what selector is it using? So on the error, I think we should add maybe a wait, a little bit of a wait. And add like 3 seconds of wait. So I think that is why it is not working, because we've put it right after the go to web page. Process data upon extraction. Also, we're going to enable that as well. And let's try it one more time. So I did forget to add one action, and that would be in browser automation. So I think I made a mistake. Get details of element on page. So it's not output data that we're getting the get details of element on the page. So, and it's from this element right here. So let's just have it in here, and let's just test our process and see what happens. So let's run this again and see what happens. Launching a new page, that's fine. Going to the developer tag. And is it going to fail again? Yes, it has failed again. So if this fails, why is it failing? It is failing because it cannot, that's why we added this other get details of element on the page. So let's get rid of that one, and let's add here attribute name. So in here, we're going to change this from whatever we were getting previously and add the attribute value that is extracted with the get details of element on the web page. Let's try it one more time. This is going to be the last try, and if that doesn't work, we could just revert back to our process, and it's just more debugging action. But let's see what happens. Our LinkedIn GPT messaging system is awesome, meaning that it truly expands all of the different automations that we could potentially do and that we can actually create. All right, so here again we have a issue with the message. This guy already has accepted, unfortunately, my message requests, so it's messing up our process again. But at least the first part actually worked. So let's see it go to the second part. So it skipped. That's great. And let's remove this and let's see it run on more cases. So now it should go to the second one. All right, great. It followed him. And now let's go to the third one, because it should skip theoretically all the way until the end. We have I took the breakpoint. Okay, all right, so it worked. Let's see if we got their name. I think we got their name since it's working so far. Hey Gianluca, are we talking with Gianluca? No, we are talking. So it's getting the wrong person. So let's see the next message. Who are we getting? Are we getting still Gianluca, or are we getting somebody else? Yes, we're still getting Gianluca, so I think this should be theoretically a relatively easy fix. We did it already previously. So right here where we get the details of our element, and we use this to get the details of the person. Let's save it and let's fine tune it. So, okay, we forgot to add the loop counter in here. So let's do that, and that should fix our issue. and our process should be ready. And how I'm going to be confident, I'm going to actually add the send button, so that it's going to actually send the messages. So let's add this variable that is going to be the counter variable. Always remember to name your variables with meaningful names, so that you don't run in the issues that I'm having right now with this process that has already grown a little bit and has quite a few variables, but it's still just kind of 21 lines of no code to build a pretty complex automation if you were building it via Python. Still, even with GPT, it would be pretty complex to build with Python. But in Power Automate Desktop, it is pretty straightforward and relatively simple. So we can test our process. Was there any other fine-tuning that I wanted to do? No, I believe we can run it and see it in action. We changed this, so that should change. The other button should change. We said that we're going to add the send button. So all right, let's add the send button. We can just copy press button on web page. I think we can just copy this right here, add it press button on web page instead of the dismiss button. So we can just take the dismiss button and change it to the send button. Let's add a new UI element, connect, add a note, and let's type some text and then let's send them the message. Okay, it's not going to send it. That's great. Let's save it, do just a little bit of fine-tuning because LinkedIn uses this great ID, but this should fix the issue. And let's run our process. So again, I think our process is ready to be run without further testing, and I've added the press button, the send button, so it should work. I removed the breakpoint, so it should just loop for 50 messages. So it's going to do 10 messages here for 5 pages. It should send me 50 messages. So actually the time for me to send 50 messages would have been much more than actually building this automation that now I can fine-tune, make better, make cooler, and so on. So all right, these guys are pretty quick in accepting connections. So let's just close this. And let's just close this. All right, fine. Remember that our process is a little bit slow because we added all of those weights, but it should be good. I mean, it should be working. All right, so we got gamer's choice. Awesome, thank you. I'm going to be we made the post. I didn't see it. I was checking out our chat. I hope the name was correct, Andrea. Let's see. All right, we skipped one. What the hell? What is going to be the name? Alessio. All right, that was fine. Why do we skip one? But yeah, next video, or I'm going to be making a dedicated live stream for creating a Facebook bot. I just don't use Facebook. Andrea. No, this is messing up. So we have a disconnect between the button that we are pushing and the increment label. Skip. You skip here and then you increment the counter, and the the name that we're extracting and the button that we're pushing on. So can I just fix this on the fly? Yeah, I think so. So right here, so where are we pushing on the button? We're pushing on the button right here, and we are using this UI element right here. Button send now, not this one, not this one, not this one, this one right here. So in here we have our loop index. Okay, all right, okay, fine, I got it. So our loop index, here we are using the loop index, and right here we are using the counter. So let's change that on the fly. So let's remove this counter right here, and let's add the loop index. I don't think we need the counter anymore, so we can remove this and remove the set variable thingy that we did. No, we need still in the web page. So we're going to add it here then. Okay, all right, so that things I think this should be doing. This should be working fine right now. I also want to thank everybody that has tuned in to watch the live stream. Without you, this would not be possible. Upskilling in Microsoft Power Automation is super important, and actually upskilling in general is super important, but in these areas like Microsoft Power Automate Desktop and skills that can help you do more and automate your activities and your tasks that previously you did, it is it is super important. Now we see that these guys are being super receptive and they are accepting my messages on the fly, so this is not a great use case. Let's just run this one more time and let me show you how I'm going to change it. So right here we're going to start from 2, we're just going to go to the follow-on page, and we're going to see a new list of people. Let's run our process again. We're going to add developer one more time, and that should actually work. I'm pretty sure that this should actually work. And one more time, I wanted to thank everybody that has tuned in, that has asked questions, for providing the support that you guys are giving me, for the great questions that you are reaching out on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. Don't forget to leave any comments or ask me any final questions before we end this stream. Let's just see our work in action right now. Hey Vincenzo, so this is correct. Let's see the second one, and then I'm finally going to go eat my pasta. So let's see the second. It should be Riccardo Marzi. So it should be like a message for Riccardo. So hey Riccardo, and then a message. Obviously the message is not super custom, but it is using GPT, and we could ask it to make it fun or however other way we want. Okay, thank you so much. My children are here, so I'm going to be going on and playing with my children. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Have a great automation day.